Euclid Ave, Lynn, Mass, and I'm a lifelong resident of Ward 1. Do I look dangerous to you? Because I've been hospitalized over 15 times for mental illness. I am on SSDI for a mental illness. I went to Lynn schools, graduated from Lynn English High School, has a bachelor from Regis College, but yet I have eating disorders and depression and anxiety and OCD. And I have been in the hospitals in Waltham, in Belmont, in Cambridge, in Somerville, because there's nothing in Lynn for me. There are no eating disorder services, there are no other mental health services, inpatient, that I have been able to have. I'm a Ward 1 resident, okay? I'm ashamed of being here right now because all of you believe that people like me are dangerous. You're all talking about safety because of the mental illness facility, the behavioral health facility. You really don't know what you're talking about. We are not all dangerous. It is not a safety concern to have an inpatient locked unit. Like, I don't understand. And you're talking about letting people out afterward. They set up things and we have outpatient. There is nothing in Lynn for us. There are already mentally ill people in Lynn not receiving services. So we'd rather them not receive services and be homeless already because that's what we have. Or you can have some place for people to go and get help and get better. Thank you.
Very well said. My name is Paul Crowley. I'm a resident of Lynn. I live at 86 Holyoke Street, and I'm the Executive Director of Greater Lynn Senior Services. And I've got to say that as far as the process that you folks have gone through to summarily dismantle Union Hospital over the years, by the way, I need to say this before I go any further, and that is I applaud each and every one of you in the City Council for defending the rights of the citizens of Lynn. You're doing a phenomenal job, and I really appreciate that. Now, what I really need to understand is if, in fact, you are interested in the best interest of the community, and you are interested in sitting down and talking with us, then why is it that at Union Hospital, the surgical bed will be transferred out on the premise that all the people are using Salem now, when in fact the reason all the people are using Salem now is because everybody has been shifted over this discussions about Lynn and Union Hospital go date all the way back to when they built the Stop and Shop in Lynn. There was that step, then there was a step where the departments got involved. And at every step of the way, you have needed to convince the community, DPH, and so forth, that what you're doing is in the best interest of the community. And it seems to me that your steps are already established. I think the Council President was very clear in that, and I absolutely agree with him. I believe that the steps have been already done, and the effort to communicate with us in the future will not translate one bit to a change in the way you approach this. And I don't think that that's right, and I have a little bit of, I'd just like to back this up by saying that as the Director of Greater Lynn Senior Services, we do business with North Shore Medical Center. We do business with the Physicians Group. And we have been engaged since the Affordable Care Act came out in an effort to try to bridge the gap between the health services that you provide and the social services that we provide in the city. We've done free pilot programs to show you how we can make a difference in the lives of the individuals. We have done this time and time again, and the response that we get from the doctors and the nurse practitioners is a phenomenal response we have. We've demonstrated that it's a way to help people live better, more productive lives. And then when it's time to talk about how can we institute a solution to this where there's a little bit of funding for it, we're told, well, we're going to just go out and get some interns for this because we know how to do it now. And you know what? You're not doing it, it's not working, and as long as you take this health only approach, a clinical only approach, and don't look at the social service component and the fact that these folks live in the community and we need to support the community. We're never going to solve these issues. So I don't care how many beds you put up at Union Hospital, I don't care if you have a center of excellence. It's not going to matter if you don't engage the community. You need to engage the community. And I'll just end with one thing, and that is, and I just want to reiterate what Councilor Trahan said, the idea that the solution has to be to move your center of excellence to the mental health facility at Union Hospital should not be the only solution. It's just as easy, in fact, it's probably easier for people who have mental health issues, like the young lady that was speaking before me, to go to Salem Hospital than it would be to go to Union Hospital. Just as easy, and in fact, the ER function and the surgical function, I think it's much easier to get to Union Hospital than it is to get to Salem Hospital. I mean, I know firsthand how difficult it is for the residents to get down Western Ave to Highland. I know firsthand all about it. I understand that it's a problem. It's a problem for people just doing everyday shopping. For you to say that people's lives will be safe in an emergency situation, trying to get through traffic on Highland Ave is really not a well thought out position. So anyway, I think you need to engage the community. I think you need to engage the members of this council and the residents of the area and come up with a solution. And it can't be a solution that you get DPH to give you what you want. It needs to be a solution that we can all live with.
Lane in Lynn, in Ward 1. I am also an employee of Union Hospital and North Shore Medical Center. I'm probably going to be the only one that doesn't get applauded tonight. I never get involved in politics until I saw everything political being said. I want you to know a little bit of my history. It was 1961 and I was 17 years old. And I started my first job at Lynn Hospital at the urging of my mother who worked there. And with the exception of 2 years, I have worked there for 52 years in the system. Every change that's happened, I've gone through different logos, different mergers. I've heard all these talks. And I think to myself, the only time the city gets involved is when something big is going to change. We're not a city hospital, and yet, right when something happens, no matter who the administrator is, and by the way, they had no idea, nobody knew I was coming tonight. There's the city. The other thing I think is very sad is maybe we could have been the mecca healthcare provider, but the neighbors in Ward 1 won't let us expand beyond the blueprint of the building. So right there, we've been limited forever, okay? I work in the emergency department and I've worked there for the past 38 years. I think the citizens don't understand what happens in healthcare in Lynn. You think you live near Union Hospital, I have to go there. Well, if you call 911 today, and they come to you, you could be a pedestrian hit on Linfield Street, or a motor vehicle victim in Wyoming Square. And it's the decision of that paramedic where to take you. And that depends on what your symptoms are. Okay, Salem is a trauma center, Union is not. Both provide excellent care. In the emergency department, we have the same physicians. You might have one physician at Union one day, and tomorrow you might have one at Salem. So there's no difference in any care of physicians. The medic makes the decision. My own brother suffered a debilitating accident on Boston Street, and he's an employee of Union Hospital, was on his way to work, had a badge on, and they took him to Mass General because that was the best place for his injury at that time. Not because one is nearer, not because it's just their decision. They're the clinical people. They have the expertise. They know what we offer. By the same token, if you think you'll beat the system and say, oh, I'm going to right away we'll have an EKG. If that shows any abnormality at all, it is our responsibility to get you to the cath lab at Salem Hospital in 60 minutes. Well, it's a lot better to have the ambulance take you there and be there in 30. So there's all these things that people don't understand. And what I'm surprised at is the lack of compassion for psychiatry service in this crowd tonight. Because I work in the emergency room, and I'm not a clinical person, I provide support to the physicians and to the nursing staff. Except for the privacy law, I would love to invite you to come and spend the weekend in our emergency department. And if you did, you would see Lynn residents in recliners lining the walls of our very small emergency department because they have no place to go. They're waiting for beds. I have a system on my computer that tells the number of hours a patient waits in the emergency room. And recently we had one that it went to 99 and you couldn't go in yet. He spent 99 hours in our emergency room and not in a bed, in a recliner, in the hall, with a blanket over, in a joint. And it's degrading, and they need to have some place to go. You talk about the patients from Lawrence coming to Lynn. On the contrary, we send our patients when we get a bed to Lawrence, to Baldwin, to Harvard, to Jamaica Plain. There's just, and they're not just all drug addicts. Yeah, some of them are, but some of our drug addicts come in and the fire department will give them a shot of Narcan in the truck, and by the time they get there, they're sobered up and they leave against advice. But these are, psychiatry covers depression, eating disorders, bipolar, schizophrenia. You should come and see our children that are in the inpatient unit right now. They range in age from 3 to 17, and they're beautiful children, and the staff is wonderful with them. They get the best care, and you wonder, sometimes I see them going out to the garden to play with the staff, and I think, isn't it too bad? What are they going home to? The same thing with the geriatric psych unit, which now has been lowered, kind of scary, to 55. And you can get into the geriatric psych unit. But it's for many things, it's not all these degrading labels that people seem to be putting on the people that you think will be coming to this new facility. So emergency service, we've been told, yeah, it was a surprise. But in my years of experience here, 52 years, no, it wasn't a surprise. Change happens. And so I think if anyone is to be concerned, it's the employees. I've heard talk about what's going to happen by pension, in different unions, and I don't think that's a city issue. I think it's an employer-employee issue. I know in our emergency department, the majority of our employees do not live in Lynn, so it's 5.8 miles difference. I don't think anyone's going to mind. Some of our employees are from Salem, some are from New Hampshire, some are from Topsfield, Byfield. And so, I just want you all, if you want a further explanation, come by my door. I'm across from the chapel. Some of you probably recognize me because they stop by for directions all the time. And I'd love to give you a further description of what really goes on here. But no matter what happens, I can assure you the care is excellent. Thank you.
I have a bunch of points to make. My name is Jocelyn Almatesta. I live at 77 Edgehill Road. One of my concerns is traffic coming off Linfield Street, and I wanted to know how much we can expect increased traffic from emergency vehicles coming from Salem and Wakefield in and down our already congested Linfield Street, because it takes me now 20 minutes to get my kids a half a mile to school. So that's a concern of mine. Another concern of mine is how are we going to fund proper training for our police force? I don't want to read an article that someone's suing one of my police officers because they weren't adequately trained because they called upon to assist in emergency procedures at Union Hospital, that they don't have the resources to know how to deal with. So write down on your little paper that you're going to need to give some money there because we need some more training. Another thing is the Olmstead Act requires that inpatients are put back into community housing situations. Who's responsible for that? You or us, the taxpayers? Who's responsible for finding the people from Salem and Lawrence Hospital that have to relocate now to Lynn because they can't afford the public transportation to get back and forth for their daily, weekly treatments, and now have to live in Lynn? Who's responsible for providing these people with housing? Are we going to have more disabled people living in our city when we're already trying to increase our skilled workforce so we can attract business? This is economics just as much as it's healthcare. And if you don't address that, you're kidding yourself. And if people aren't considering that, they're kidding themselves. This is going to have a big economic impact on our city. And regardless of whether or not it's fair or right or politically correct to be afraid of people that have violent tendencies walking out the doors of the hospital, try selling your house living next door to a psychiatric ward. What is it going to do about that? And then the last thing is, if you're going to increase the beds at Union Hospital and you're going to increase the beds in the services for mental health in downtown Lynn, which already, I mean, walking around downtown Lynn, I had to get between my 13-year-old daughter and a man the other day that might as well have been a zombie by the way he was staring at her and trying to follow her. If I have to do that one more time, I'm gonna lose it, like seriously. I am so sick of being approached by people downtown who clearly have something wrong with them. And you're not telling me that you're going to go round up all these people and give them beds in Union Hospital and then our whole world is going to be better. Because that's not going to happen. These are real concerns that we have here. This is not, and we're not all afraid of people that are going to the hospital with depression. I myself suffered from postpartum depression with 2 of my pregnancies. My mother is bipolar and she's a drug addict. My father died of Alzheimer's. I have brothers that have been institutionalized for violent behaviors. I am no stranger to mental health, but I am not ignorant and I'm not naive. There are dangers that come along with it, and those dangers are going to be walking out that hospital door into our neighborhoods, just like they just did in Salem when that kid stabbed the girl on the bus. So don't tell me that there's no things not changing. Especially when there's a preschool across the street and a grammar school on either side of it. And there's woods all around it that connect the neighborhoods. This is not the best place for this, and if it's going to continue, I want to know what securities you're going to have in place to keep us safe and to keep them safe. Like I said, our police force, if we're going to have all of these, and there will be more calls to back up the security at the hospital, if our police officers are going to be called further to the hospital to treat these people, I want securities in place that we're going to have a trained police force so that they don't have to go home with the emotional responsibility of having had to deal with some of these people. My aunt has been a detective for the New Bedford Police Department since I was in the 6th grade, and she has had to deal with more people, and she has to carry that home with her every single night. I want my police officers trained and taken care of if this is going to happen. That's all I have to say.
Lifelong resident of Lynn, okay? And sorry if I'm a little fractured and disjointed. You're getting an improvisational tirade from me today, okay? Mark Twain said there are 3 kinds of lies. There are lies, damn lies, and statistics. You quoted a statistic that was so well eloquently answered by our council president that more Lynn people are treated at Salem than they are in Lynn. You know why? You shut down the services. You took them away. In the past 26 years, destroy that one too. Look around. What do you see? Do you see people, or do you see an income source for your business? These people right here. He's not a car. If he doesn't have a broken transmission, we're going to send him to AMCO. She needs new tires. Oh, well, we'll get her the town fair tire. No, if these people get sick, they need the support of their friends and family. It's just as important to them as your medical help. And you're not addressing that. You're treating us like garbage, like we're just some revenue source for your business. We are people. We're a proud city, a lifelong resident. My father was also. And we deserve a wonderful hospital. The schools, jobs, and hospital care, medical care. Are you prepared to deal with what's going to happen to the tax base when this nonsense goes through? Are you going to address, let's see, what's this one here? Centers of Excellence in Primary Care. What does that mean? What does that mean? Huh? Private doctor offices? You're going to close down the rest of the hospital beds and open up private doctor offices? Is that what it's going to be? I think so. Prove me wrong. Tell me different. Nobody is. All I hear is ambiguity. Lies, damn lies, and statistics. I'm speaking for myself when I say this. As a neighbor of your facility and as a lifelong resident, if you cannot provide all of these people in this entire city with the hospital that we need and deserve, shut it down and get out of my city.
It was a good thing he chose my house, because I have two single mothers on either side of it. So it took about 3 minutes to hold on to this guy and try and calm him down. I realized I saw the hospital guy and he was talking about the CIA being after him. So I figured out what was going on. I go and make a couple of phone calls for him, because I had a friend in the CIA. Well, it took about 3 or 4 minutes for people to respond. I looked out the window, I looked out the corner of the doors I had them pushed up against it. Here comes 2 of your nurses and 1 of your boys in blue, your so-called security staff. Well, they whisked him away. I was in the hospital 2 weeks later, and he's strutting around the first hall again. That's not security. That's not even babysitting. I received, like 2 days later, I received a bouquet of flowers from him. What's the city of Lynn going to get? A bouquet of flowers from you doing this thing? Now, I got a suggestion for you, for the city council, that if this facility does go through, if you take the old fire station annex and turn it into a police annex, because you're going to need it. Thanks very much.
My name is Joy McNaughton, and I live at 49 Birdline Avenue. I'm a registered nurse at Union Hospital. First, I want to apologize for my outburst earlier when you said that more people go to Salem Hospital than come to Union Hospital. We've heard why that is. It's because services have been removed systematically over the years. I basically just want to say that Union Hospital, I did home care in the city of Lynn for 15 years. So I took care of patients from all the great hospitals in Boston, from Melrose Wakefield, from Salem, from Mass General. The reason that I chose to go to Union Hospital when I left home care is because I got the most compliments about the nursing care at Union Hospital. I believe that the reason that we can provide the care that we provide is because we are small. You know, if you think about a family, there are problems within every family, but everybody can get individual attention because they're small. You move it up to the community level or Salem Hospital size, if you want to use, care is not going to be the same. So if you really care about our patients, about the city of Lynn, I work on the orthopedic floor. I have patients who come from North Reading, from Gloucester, from Marblehead, very affluent communities who say, I never would have come to this hospital except that Dr. Evans or any of the guys from sports medicine door really said what wonderful care there is here. This is truly a gem. I can't tell you the things the patients say about the care at that hospital. And for you to take that away from a city with an image problem as it is, Union Hospital is the crown jewel, and it's because so many of us live in the city. We don't just love what we do, we love the city of Lynn, and that's why we provide the care that we provide. And it's breaking my heart to even think about this city losing such a wonderful resource.
The numbers just don't add up. From the other side, being a patient advocate, now our patients use public transportation to get to Lynn. We have the unique opportunity that we're right off of 95 Route 1 and not far from 93. Now, with services being cut down by the MBTA and only having a couple of bus routes from Lynn to Salem, how are our patients expected to be receiving top care there? Remember to mind the fact that now, people are going to be having to come from Memorial Field Hospital, Lawrence Memorial Hospital in Medford. We're taking all these communities in Greater Boston, Metro Boston, and the North Shore, and expecting them to get to Salem Hospital with limited services. I hope that this does go through. We want to talk to the Department of Transportation to see if we can get expanded bus services to accommodate all of our patients that need the services that you want to provide. Thank you.
Say that you just heard about this starting the process. Well, I knew about it in July from a person who works at Lady Clinic. She told me that she's out of here if that becomes a mental health institution. And the state closed all of them anyway. I lived in Foxborough and I moved to Lynn because it was a beautiful city and I loved it. And when they closed those institutions down, they were all over my yard, laying in the street, and everything else. And people, they wouldn't even go home to their families. The families would take them home and then they'd run on. So I'm wondering if that's going to happen over here. Because even when the hospital was there, they could get out and go around, be in my yard. So I moved out of there. And there's another thing that there's a hospital rating called Leapfrog. They rate Union Hospital as the 35th best hospital in the nation, and 47, I think, on least infections. And I got it from Union Hospital. That's where I got it. Thank
see that disappear as it's been disappearing is tragic. Not having a full medical facility there is also tragic. On the flip side, I have a brother with mental illness. I know that, and I also work in a psych facility as a second job in inpatient psych. I know they discharge patients not taking meds when they're unable to handle them, and at some point it becomes, it's unnecessary for them to be there because they can't handle it. They do discharge them out the door. I live right next door. I know they discharged my brother at times when he was not fit to be outside, but because he wasn't declared a threat to himself or to others. They did. But yet, he came home with me and slept with knives and everything else, so I don't buy that story. I've also been there when the police have driven around my neighborhood, being right next door. With their spotlights, somebody had escaped looking for them, and driving to work, they stop you to see who's in your car, that the person isn't in your car. I don't have a problem with the PD side, I don't have a problem with the Jerry side, I have a problem with the real side patients, the eating disorders, all of that is easy. They're not going to come out, they're not going to hurt you. But there are those that you do take that will hurt, and they do discharge adults to the street outside the door. And, I'm not sure I want the pedophiles and everything else being discharged outside the door in my backyard. And I'd rather see the Jerry side, the PD side, the adult side. I'm not comfortable with it. And I don't feel safe. Thank you.
I wasn't going to come to this meeting tonight because everybody from the hospital side said, oh, well, we just came up with a plan, it's going to take us 3 years to get this done, and so on and so forth, and we're going to have a lot of dialogue. Well, here we are, October 2013. I would love to see the 5-year plan that was established in 2011 for Union Hospital. Everybody talks about their 5-year plans. This had to be part of that 5-year plan. And here we are now, October 2013, and we're here dancing the stars. I just find it very discerning to listen to this and to realize the number of young children in Ward 1 today. And you're going to a full lockup system. But it's going to take 3 years. It's a done deal as far as I'm concerned.
I'm rather a new resident of Lynn. I've only been here 2 years. But I thought it was a great perk to have a hospital down at the bottom of my road in the event that I were to fall and break my leg or need stitches or whatever. I come from a small town in northern New Hampshire where we have hospital, full-service hospital. I think living in Boston where we have the ability to go to several hospitals, so specialized care is wonderful. But a city the size of Lynn needs to have a local hospital. You need to have a place where you can go for simple things like stitches or, if you have a heart attack, okay, go to Lynn, they diagnose you and they send you wherever you need to go. That's a great idea. My boyfriend's father has had a lot of medical issues, and every time they call the ambulance, they take him to a different hospital. He's been to Beverly, he's been to Salem. Last time they took him to Union. He's kind of a cantankerous old man, and he said that Union Hospital was the best hospital that he's been in the last couple of years. He rented a lovely, to be honest with you, for the service. I don't have anything against mental health. My problem with the plan is that nobody's clarifying what type of services you are going to be having there. I heard about substance abuse. We have a terrible heroin problem here in Lynn, as do other communities. Those people need help. if they want that. Not all of them want it. So I want to know, is it going to be a detox center? Is it going to be a 28-day program where people who want the help will get it and then probably be more productive citizens? Is it going to be a methadone plan? You know, these are serious questions. The dangerousness is one thing, but there are other, you know, anxiety, depression. I'm having a little anxiety here myself now. You know, those are legitimate problems, and that girl had a very good point. Not all of them are dangerous. You know, addiction runs in my family, so I know a little bit about that. They come out being productive citizens, you know, if you get the proper help. I'm just wondering what kind of help it's going to be, and I am concerned because there are grammar schools close by. And I've heard 2 stories now about escapees from Union Hospital with the limited services that there are there now. And the Lynn Woods, if one of those people were to get out into Lynn Woods, it's 2,100 acres there. You know, it can be difficult to be found there. I've hiked out there. I mean, it's easy to get lost. So they could get hurt and the general public could be at risk as well. I just think that we really need to have a full-service hospital in our state.
My name is David Solomini Jr., and I'm here representing the Solomini family, as well as the area Chamber of Commerce, where I'm currently the chairman. Solomini family's support of Union Hospital is well known. We believe it's critical for the city of Lynn, with its 90,000 plus residents, to have a well-rounded hospital that not only provides the primary care, behavioral health, which is kind of a new term for me, emergency services as proposed, but also acute care. The quality of the care provided by the doctors, nurses, technicians, and support staff at Union Hospital to members of my family, as well as the Greater Lynn community, has been terrific. A good reason for the quality care is the fact that a large percentage of the Union Hospital staff lives in Lynn. They know us, and we know them. Union Hospital also provides a substantial role in Lynn's general economy. There are good-paying jobs for Lynn residents, many of whom, some of whom spoke tonight, have served our medical needs for many years. In addition to the effect on our health care options, I fear that the removal of acute care from Union Hospital will have an adverse effect to many of the folks that currently work at Union Hospital. It is also certain that an adverse effect on the Lynn economy will happen as well. It would seem to me that there were missed opportunities in the past to enhance Union Hospital. While Lynn resisted various upgrades proposed by the hospital, Salem welcomed them. Going forward, we can't let this happen. Union Hospital is our hospital. Partners may control it, but we need to own it. It is not their hospital, it is our hospital. We need to treat it that way. We need to use it, nurture it, promote it, and support it. We need to put the brakes on reduction of services. I would ask our elected officials, as well as everyone here, to advocate for ways that we can expand services to our community at Union Hospital. This will create additional jobs at Union, jobs that are sorely needed in Lynn. And I hope that the folks at Partners hear us loud and clear and rethink their plans. Certainly getting bigger to serve us better doesn't seem to be working for us. Thank you.
My name is Patrick Lynn. I live at 35 Brookline Terrace in Mass. I recently moved on from Union Hospital to Mass General for many reasons, and one of them being the constant downsizing by this gentleman here of surgical services, our endoscopy unit, the closure of West 2 to make it a locked cherry psych unit, which took many beds away, was just the start. And I think that was the start of your ball rolling, sir, not a week ago. This has been in the works for some time, and I think you've known it. Psych is a low overhead entity, which puts many dollars in people's pockets. surgical services, the nursing, ICU are all costly. But yet, we provide top-notch nursing care on the North Shore and throughout Greater Boston. We've been in many publications as the leading caregivers in Leapfrog, U.S. News Weekly, and many other medical publications that were ignored by our managers, and we were not cited in any local publications, nor were we known in the community. Excuse me. It just seems like you've been nitpicking us to death since we met 3 years ago. Can you remember that, sir? When you had a town forum, and I asked you personally what your 5-year plan was 3 years ago, and you told me you didn't have one because you weren't sure of the changing healthcare system within the United States. Well, sir, it seems to me you really knew what you were heading towards. Low overhead, putting more money in your pocket, and it started years ago with the merger of Union Hospital and Salem, when you took a Union Hospital profit of $5.8 million, rolled it into a $24 million deficit at Salem, and made North Shore Medical Center an $18 million deficit. That was the beginning. Now you're closing Union Hospital, as somebody put it, a gem of the North Shore, and it really is. And it was very hard for me to leave, but it was an economic decision on my part. And you, sir, really think about when you go to sleep tonight what you're doing for all these people in our community. Thank you.
My name is Susan Carroll, and I live on 40 Elston Street, 3 streets away from the hospital, and I walk to work every day. And just another story to add to the two that have already gone before us. Walking to work the other day, and there was a confirmed escape, a psych patient coming out of the ER, wearing just a Johnny, that's it, and a baseball cap, no shoes, nothing else. Now it's 6:45 in the morning, so the children are not involved yet. Most of them are still sleeping or getting up. But my concern was, what if this was 8 o'clock and the kids are walking to school and taking a bus, and there's this guy flapping in the breeze. He's raising his baseball cap, waiting for people to cheer him on, running down the street away from the ER. This is smack dab in the middle of 2 elementary schools and a nursery school across the street. How is this possible that this is the place to go for this? This could have been, my concern is for the children. Obviously, I'm a neighbor, I'm right down the street, my concern is for all of us. But I have a 6-year-old granddaughter, and all of us that live up there are concerned for our children. And that's all I have to say.
My name is Fred Peck, 33 High Street. I'd like to see the continuation and expansion of services at Union Hospital, but also in light of the increased traffic congestion in the area, perhaps another emergency room could be set up in an appropriate place like the old Food Master store, where it could be reached more quickly by emergency personnel. I'd like to put that forth in consideration. So, thank you.
All right, y'all have heard from me earlier, but there's something more important, and I'd like to address this question to Mr. Norton. My name is...
Mr. Yanakis, unfortunately, it's a public forum where you can make statements.
Well, the only thing I'd like to know is if the Department of Corrections has any part of the 5-year plan, okay? Because we've heard from other people already about locked units and the safety of the community, okay? You've worked in the justice system. You know what we're talking about here. So we need to know if there's an agreement with the Department of Justice and Corrections.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Bonnie. The last name is Vegan. I live at 3 Taylor Road here in Lynn. I guess my question is, I didn't realize that Hallmark was becoming a amalgam and part of the whole partners thing. When I think of partners, I think of MGH, and they saved my daughter's life. So there you have that. I don't think anybody has anything against psych per se. Obviously, we all have family members, we all have lives, we all know people who've been affected by that. I do think safety is absolutely a concern. Jerry Psych, PD Psych, maybe not so bad, although it sounds like the Jerry Psych folks are growing the community now, so that's clearly a problem. What about Plan B? Do you folks have a Plan B? I mean, you're going to get a lot of pushback and opposition. It's probably not going away. Is there a need in the state of Massachusetts and the rest of the country for a psych institution, a facility? Yeah, they all got closed in the 70s. Everybody's been out in the streets ever since. Is it a cash cow? Sure it is, absolutely. Well, it can be. I'm in home care, and it depends on who you're billing and what the insurance is. So, yes. So I guess my thinking is, is there a Plan B? Why can't they go to Melrose and Wakefield? Why Lynn? Why him? Why us? Why now? Why again? Do you folks want this in your backyard? I don't know, do you live in Westwood? Do you live, where do you live? Where are we at? We're not here, you're not living here. They're not going to be in your backyard with your children, your grandchildren, single folks, blue-collar community. And then there's semantics. So you can talk care homes and the North Shore Physicians Group. We all know that the complexion of healthcare in this country is changing. We have Obamacare, we have the Affordable Care Act, we have all these things, we have ACOs. So that's all semantics. The bottom line here is, I don't think anybody doesn't want to provide services for folks that are in need. Not certain that this is the location that's the best place for it.
Hi, good evening. My name is Audrey Kasudas. I live at 12 Cumberland Circle. I've been a lifelong resident of Lynn. My comfort level regarding having full services available right outside my door is a concern for me and my loved ones, knowing that it becomes a statistic in need of emergency surgical care, knowing that it can only be provided in Salem, where I could walk from my front door to Union Hospital to get that kind of service, not having assurance that that level of service can be provided. It's the diminishment of services, which is a negative or a takeaway.
My question is, unlike a regular business, where people sell products, medicine concerns the people of its location in its city. You have on your committee people from the city. I know you don't have any city councilors when you're making these decisions. So you're not taking what the people of the city need, you're just looking at the bottom line dollar. This is incorrect. I suggest that you include some people from the city on your committee, as well as some members of the city council, so you would be able to get a better input as to what's happening. I've seen this happen elsewhere. I understand right now that medicine is in a critical situation. Hospitals are closing everywhere, and we have to consolidate. But the consolidation does not have to be brutal. It can be open. You can have some of the emergency staff that you absolutely need in your hospital. I know of cases, and I'm not going to get into them, but I know of cases here in Lynn. I've lived in Lynn since 1981. Where people on Western Avenue down by Mile Street in that area and up to where the old hospital was before it was moved, were rushed to Salem Hospital and did not make it, while people who were worse ended up in Union and made it in an emergency because the roads were clear. This is something you should look at, because this is not only a decision financially. In many ways, it's also a moral decision.
if you people should be making.
Mr. Norton, I was in the cafeteria the day you rolled out the plan to the employees. As I'm an employee of surgical services, and I believe I asked you the question, Mr. Norton, was this a done deal? Were our elected officials on board? And I believe your response was, it's a done deal. So I would just like to say, as a member of the surgical services at Union Hospital, we do amazing things. You hear of sports medicine, we've developed what's called a swing room where we can have 2 surgeons operating at 3 rooms at the same time, thus optimizing flow of patients who need surgery, who need care, and then they go back to Joy's floor, get excellent care. And that's, sports medicine is a big part of our hospital. Now, what will happen to them, we don't know. But I've also been at the end of being called in for a ruptured appendix or a ruptured colon, or even an accident that we had come through our door not too long ago, and that patient did not make it. However, we provided the best care for that person. I've been at the end of surgeons who would say to patients, actually one came up to the operating room from the emergency room where he had been all night with his mother, and the surgeon examined him because for whatever reason the ER doctor thought he had appendicitis. The surgeon felt, no, he did not have appendicitis. But he told the young boy who was 18 and his mom, if you need care, we want you to go to Salem Hospital. That's where my colleague and myself will be operating this weekend. When in fact we have a full service operating room available, we have state-of-the-art endoscopic room with monitors, we have incredible services at our hospitals. And we have been voted a leapfrog as Union Hospital being one of the best community hospitals in the United States, and that was turned into a North Shore Community College, North Shore Medical Center, put out by, the powers that be, that I forget what you call them, but when clearly it was about Union Hospital and about the care that was given there. I've had both parents die at Salem Hospital. I've had good experiences at Salem Hospital. I worked in Boston for 12 years at Tufts Floating Hospital for Children. I came back to this community because my children, my husband, we live here. I live a mile down the road from my place of work. My kids went to school at Lynn Woods, St. Mary's. I want to live in a city that has a full-fledged hospital. I want to live in a city a hospital that if my child or my husband gashes his leg out open again because he fell off the hamper like he did 3 years ago, that I can bring him to Union Hospital and I can have him evaluated for a broken hip or a broken femur. It blows my mind. And how you talk about the DPH and their role that they play. We have a population of 90,000. We should have an ER, but what about an OR to accommodate the ER? How can we have people come to the emergency room exsanguinating, bleeding to death, if we don't have an OR standing by? And most of us live within, I live a mile down the road, so I'm always called first in emergency on the disaster list. I can be there in literally 2 minutes, opening up supplies and getting that patient ready for surgery. I'm deeply saddened, and quite frankly, I will not go to Salem. I will find employment elsewhere, and not because I'm digging in my heels because I live in them, because I need to find a place outside of Partners, if this all comes to be, that every day when I walk into work, something's changing. Something's changing. They're taking this, or they're taking that. I need, maybe Leahy's the answer for me. I need to work in a place where there's stability, where there's a family sense, like I feel at Union. So, time will tell, but I think when you told me it was a done deal at that meeting, I just couldn't believe. I mean, our own, I don't know if this is a HIPAA violation, but one of our elected officials of very high had her surgery. She was transferred out of the Union ER to Salem Hospital for surgery on an evening. Did she dig in her heels and say, no, I'm not going? I mean, I know I would, but. So there's a lot going on that maybe people need to hear about, but we do offer great services and surgical services, and I hope we can continue that.
Good evening, my name is Katerina Kudanis, and personally, I believe Partners has become a monopoly, and I believe the citizens of Lynn deserve a full hospital. Just speaking, the transit doesn't work all the time. 15 years ago, my father was having, he couldn't breathe, and his arm went numb, and I lived on the Salem-Lynn borderline, and I had two choices to get him to the hospital safely, and I chose Union Hospital because it was a smoother ride for him, less congested, than going down Highland Avenue. It would have been impossible to get him into the hospital on time. I got him to Union Hospital, and he was stabilized, and for 2 hours, because he was waiting for an ambulance to take him to another hospital. He felt comfortable at Union, and he didn't have a problem there. But he had a heart attack in transit, and I was in the front seat because the sirens went off, there was traffic along the way, and he panicked. This is a community. We need a community hospital. We don't need to send our family members around the region. If there's an emergency, the best place to be is in our own city. So please consider the thoughts of everyone said here tonight. Thank you.
I live at 22 Lansing Road. My recommendation for your board is to seek a commercial area that can be properly secured for any inpatient facilities with the severity of some of the behavioral health that needs to be done.
Seeing no one else at the podium, I'm going to close the public comment period. I just want to let people that did speak tonight, and first, show of hands. Are there people here that didn't speak, that are, by show of hands, that also are in favor of a full-service hospital? We can mark that for the record. All the public comments and questions are going to be transcribed and put in writing and sent to North Shore Medical Center and Partners Healthcare. Before we adjourn the meeting, any comments or questions from the council? Councilor Ford.
Mr. Norton, thank you for coming. One of the big things I've heard the past week, and I've heard about this lady in the newspaper, can you confirm tonight that the city's Union Hospital is not losing its emergency room? Is that actually so?
Yes.
And as we move forward, I obviously hope this council will be involved. I'd be happy to serve on the board. It was recommended by the council president that we have a spot at the board. But it's my feeling the council president, Tim Phelan, as someone we look to for leadership and to be considered for that important seat on at the table. As North Shore Medical Center, Union Hospital, and Salem Hospital plan for our city hospital, as this plan moves forward, we represent the residents. Council President Phelan represents us, and I know Council Phelan would consider representing us on that board, that very important board. Thank you.
Any additional comments or questions from the council? Council Lozey.
Mr. President, thank you. I'm going to close with comments that reiterate what I had said earlier this evening, that this business decision, if enacted, will have a tremendous impact on our community from a medical perspective, an economic perspective, and an emotional perspective, as we heard this evening. I know I speak for a majority of the residents that we can't support this plan as proposed, and it is our hope that you take the concerns shared tonight, along with what you will hear, and amend your plan accordingly to fulfill Lynn's actual needs and not simply the needs of the balance sheets. Thank you.
Comments from the council? All those in favor? Aye.